Hello, Geo Space, and welcome to your weekly agenda for September 7th, the week of. The week also includes Labor Day, and so I hope that everyone had a good long weekend. Those that usually meet Monday, we're kind of losing a day, and that's okay because we're going to use the week as a bit of a catch-up. Reminders to check grades, make sure that they're up to date. Make sure that you have signed up to present your profile slide if you have not done so already. And then I will catch us up to where we should be, which is here. Okay, so this is this weekly posting. I am no longer going to be updating the website. I found it was just a little bit too cumbersome for me to update and for you guys to find, and so everything now will be directly on Classroom. Where you should be is working on your scientific process challenge. I'm going to go briefly over how that works for those that missed it last week. Then I'm going to talk briefly about what we're doing in our synchronous time this week, which is going to be all about helping each other complete that challenge in preparation for sharing your challenge with your new collaborative study group, which I'll explain in a moment. But let's start with a refresher on the STEM challenge itself. You were to choose one of these 8 challenges to try and solve, and you were to solve it using the scientific method. Okay, an example, the marshmallow structure using spaghetti noodles and marshmallows, right? If I were to take this as my challenge, I would take this, what is the tallest structure you can construct using marshmallows and spaghetti noodles, as my first slide on my student slides, which look like this. What is the tallest structure I can, construct using spaghetti noodles, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That is slide number 1. You just take that problem statement. You then perform some background research, right? That includes taking some of your materials and seeing what they do, seeing what they're like. Here's an example I just started writing. While using and bending several spaghetti noodles, I noticed that if I put more than 3 together, they were much stronger. Could add that. You could also have a YouTube example, in which case I would probably do a search for spaghetti noodles and marshmallow tower. I'd maybe scroll down to some videos. Oh, here's a guy who looks like he must be building a spaghetti noodles and marshmallows tower. I could watch this. I would then want to share the link, and I'd add that in to my background research, right? This shows an example of someone creating a 3-legged tower pyramid, right? Something like that. The background research is up to you. That is an example. Okay? Make sure you cite your sources where you get things. Your hypothesis. Okay? If I blank, then because. So the example I gave in class was with chocolate milk, but I'm going to give another example here of the spaghetti noodles. If I use 20, I don't know how many you chose. It could be more, way more. It could be way less. Spaghetti noodles and, I don't even know, 30 marshmallows. Then I can construct a tower that is at least 40, I have no idea, I'm making this up, but this is the format that you wanted to use. 40 inches tall, because I will, or you'd probably want to explain out that each spaghetti noodle is probably a foot long, right? Each noodle is 12 inches, and I will stack at least 4 on top of each other. That is an example hypothesis. Okay, yours will be unique to you and your challenge and your materials. Okay, but it's up to you to make it. Like I just made that off the top of my head. Hopefully you, after your background research and understanding your materials, have something that you feel like you can have an accurate guess of. But you have to make sure that this is testable, right? If you get it, this is testable because I have numbers in here, right? I'm using specific numbers. If I try and get there and I can't use 20, then my hypothesis isn't supported, but that's not a big deal. Most of us are going to not have a hypothesis that is perfectly right. I would expect almost all of us to have one that doesn't totally support or is supported from the experiment that we do. But the important thing is to have some measure 40 inches tall that you're doing. If you're doing a catapult, you want to be trying to launch that thing a specific distance, right? That would be if I use something popsicle sticks and rubber bands, then I can launch a, I don't know what it was, wad of tin foil, 50 centimeters. Something like that, right? Make sure that there's numbers. Okay, that's your hypothesis. That is also what you're going to be sharing in class today with your group, not as a class as a whole. We're going to be breaking into groups. Okay, the experiment is where you should have essentially left off. You should have tried. And so the experiment, you need to list all the materials you used. You need to also write out a detailed procedure, right? That procedure has to be written well enough that I could do exactly what your experiment was, right? So if you're building that tower, the first step would be, I laid out, 30 noodles and put them in groups of 3, right? The second steps would be to connect them, a marshmallow on each end, right? I then connected, make sure they're in complete sentences, and that's easy to read. And then finally, or almost finally, I should say, you get results. You're going to summarize your results. This whole time, I'm hoping that you have been taking pictures and taking video of your experiment. The easiest way probably is to use your webcam or your camera on your laptop, in which case you can get it in a couple ways. You can hit the Windows key and then type in camera, and that will pop up. The other way is to insert an image with your camera. If you're just taking pictures straight up, then that will also get you to the camera. But as many pictures and videos as you can. The results, I constructed a tower that, was at least 40 inches tall. I had, you're going to summarize like some issues that you had maybe, but write down 4 sentences. And then this week we'll work together on the conclusion, okay, the later part, which is going to answer these. As long as you can answer these, you're going to be okay. So that is where those that missed should be, right? You're choosing one of these challenges. You are altering it in the way that you need to, and then you're trying to solve it with these 6 steps, right? There's six slides that you need to be filling out. Those are the 6 steps of the scientific method. This week in class, let's go back to our post. You are going to, after we get together as a whole class and we share some profile slides, I will then break you into your groups, okay? And so every class has their own, I'm just going to use second period as an example. On this post is a list of what collaborative study group you are in, okay? And I've made channels in teams, but you're going to look at where you find your name. That is what group you are in. When we are in teams, let's say we are in my second period, you will then find, we'll be in general, we'll be doing our same meeting this week, but when I break you, you're going to end up joining one of these other groups, okay? And the first person in there essentially is going to hit the meet button up at this top to get that meeting started. Okay, and then when you're in there, you'll notice that there's this that I will be showing you in class. You're going to then kind of first get to know each other a little bit, right? Like just say hello, say your name. The whole goal this week, and I will be doing this synchronously in class with you, so I'm not going to go over it in detail, but where you want to be is having your hypothesis complete. And you also want to have one question that you can ask the group about your procedure or experiment or analysis, right? You want to come to your group to have them help you, right? If you got a little hung up, which I think most of us are going to have questions about exactly what to include and what not, come into our scheduled class today with a question that you can ask and then help each other answer, as well as the hypothesis in your challenge, right? So be ready to share your challenge, share your hypothesis, and kind of where you are. And then I will be popping into each group to touch base, and you'll end up having, if I can go back to the agenda, you're going to end up, after you share your progress, having the rest of the week to complete your slides. Okay, and then on the 14th, the week of next week, we're going to be sharing those in your groups. Okay, so in short, that is, maybe not short because I explained the whole project again, but that is this week's agenda. As always, if you have questions, please send me an email. But I look forward to seeing all of you guys during our scheduled class time, and we'll talk soon.